Hey, what is up guys, MKBHD here, and it's about that time of year again to talk about one of the most anticipated smartphones coming up for this year in 2015, and that would be the HTC One M9. So the HTC One M8 that came out last year is already one of the most well-liked phones of 2014, and it's also one of the most popular. I gave it an award in my Smartphone Awards 2014, and it continued to drive the conversation about build quality in smartphones with that aluminum unibody design, and of course, my favorite, the boom sound front-facing speakers, which were dope as usual. So you can expect the next HTC One M9 to keep a lot of what made the HTC One M8 so good and so popular, like the metal and like the boom sound front-facing speakers. So here's the question, with phones getting so much bigger and screens getting huge and all these smartphones we see, can you make this screen on this smartphone bigger without making the whole phone huge? See, the thing about the HTC One is it's already a pretty big 5-inch screen, and then you add those huge speakers up top and on the bottom, so it's pretty large, and the power button up top has always been a little bit hard to reach, I guess especially if you have small hands. Well, to answer this question, we actually have, thanks to some pretty trustworthy looking leaks, a super clear look at the HTC One M9's design. So right off the bat, you're gonna notice, yep, it's still metal, that all aluminum unibody enclosure is still there. And you also notice the buttons are moved around. So the volume buttons are now moved over to the right-hand side of the device, and they're now separated. And the power button is now also moved from the top also to the right-hand side. So all of the buttons are on the right-hand side of the device, which I guess should make them easier to reach and a little bit easier to use with one hand, especially since this phone will still be a little bit slippery with that rounded metal. So aside from the back of the phone, those button changes seem to be the biggest design change between the One M8 and the M9 this year, which I guess is a good thing if you already like the current design, which a lot of people did. So a lot of the complaints about the HTC One have been about its camera. This camera, actually, it's one of the most polarizing cameras in all of smartphones because some people really love it, but a lot of people are just really disappointed by it and are torn over buying a phone like this because it seems like the biggest weakness. The HTC One M7, the first generation when it first came out, had this ultra pixel camera, so 4 megapixels, which is supposed to be better in low light. This optical image stabilization did really well, but overall the photos and videos it took were pretty meh. They weren't always spectacular. A lot of times people did get great results, but it was super hit or miss. So the HTC One M8 came out and they stuck with the ultra pixels. So you get a 4 megapixel sensor in here, no 4K video, but they made it a little bit better, and if you're gonna stick with ultra pixels, you have to make it better. But again, it wasn't blowing anything else out the water. It was, again, kind of meh, even though it was improved. So the HTC One M9, again, according to these leaks that Fandroid got a hold of, is looking to have a 20 megapixel camera. So goodbye ultra pixels, no more. It was a nice run, but things weren't exactly clicking. So 20.7 megapixels. It's likely looking to be one of those same Sony sensors that we've seen in the Sony Xperia series, capable of producing extremely nice looking photos and videos, and 4K videos now, of course, too. Obviously, it's a really high megapixel number, and they don't have to go all the way to the other extreme with it. I personally would have liked to have seen maybe an 8 megapixel larger sensor that still has big pixels, but I'm okay with them going full on 20 megapixels. Hopefully it's really, really good, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of results you get out of it. A lot of people have also mentioned it's not the prettiest camera module in the world on the back of that phone, but then again, neither was the HTC One M8's. That's not pretty either. And smartphone cameras in general don't look that good on the back, although, you know, it doesn't really matter all that much. I just kind of want the pictures to look good. So with these new design improvements, basically button improvements, and the new Snapdragon 810 or 805 chip, both really good. 3 gigabytes of RAM, a 2,840 milliamp hour battery, a Android 5.0 Lollipop with hopefully a light version of HTC Sense on it, and another 5-inch display, probably 1080p, maybe Quad HD, but probably not. Overall, this is shaping up to be a really impressive looking phone and one of the most anticipated of 2015, like I said at the beginning. Might not be changing a whole lot in the way of design, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we've mentioned a lot that these big speakers make the phone particularly hard to handle if you're trying to reach the top or the bottom. So the buttons moving is a good thing, and they might even have a little bit of room to make the display a little bit bigger. The leak said it's going to be another 5-inch 1080p display. That's the same as the current phone, but I'm thinking it may get a little bit larger, 5.1 to 5.2, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them omit Quad HD in favor of better battery life. So either way, I'll be sure to get my hands on this phone sooner or later. It's actually supposed to come out very soon. They always tend to launch early spring around March, so we should alleviate all these rumors very soon. If it is slippery again, I will be putting a skin on the back of it like I have with other slippery metal phones. But let me know what you guys think of this phone in the comments section below, and we can chat about One M9 all day. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.